Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. As always, I'm happy to be here with you, with anyone who's here on the pavilion, online. Great to see you. Our service today is about interdependence, and I think when we come together on Sunday mornings, that's when we begin to feel an appreciation and gratitude for one another. And hopefully we carry that with us throughout the week. So this morning's gratitude is for you, all of you, and your presence, whether you are here or elsewhere, whether you're here for the season or you're here for the year. I am grateful for you. And I'm grateful for Patty Bryan, who is our worship associate this morning.
And thank you, Tony. And good morning to you. And good morning and welcome to all of you. Whether you're here in the sanctuary, watching us on Facebook Live at home, or sitting out on our pavilion, please know you are always welcome here. Here, we learn and grow together and try to take whatever we've learned and live our values out in public. If you're new to the congregation, we're especially grateful that you found us. Please join us for coffee and conversation after the service out on the pavilion. Our hope is to make you feel welcome and help you find ways to connect. If you'd like to find out more about our congregation or Unitarian Universalism, please feel free to come forward after the service and talk to Tony or me. And now, let's take a deep breath as we enter our time of worship with this morning's prelude.
The womb of stars embraces us. Remnants of their fiery furnaces pulse through our veins. We are of the stars, the dust of explosions cast across space. We are of the earth. We breathe and live in the breath of ancient plants and beasts. Their cells nourish the soil. We build our communities on the harvest of their gifts. Our fingers trace curves carved in clay and stone by forebears unknown to us. We are a part of the great circle of humanity, gathered around the fire, the hearth, the altar. We gather anew this day to celebrate our common heritage. Please join me in the chalice lighting response you'll see on the screen. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. I forgot to light it. I forgot to light the helper candle, And let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing exuberantly our opening hymn, Morning Has Come. It's number 1000 in the Teal hymnal. It's the first one there. Morning has come,
arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Ha! I think it's time that we had a little fun in the sanctuary on a Sunday morning. What do you think? Okay, all right. There is an African word that carries similar meaning to that of interdependence. It is Ubuntu. Can you say that? Ubuntu. Very good. And very simply, it means that we are people because of other people. Or, I am me because we are. It's a philosophy that centers the collective over the individual. And I have a story, and I want you to be involved. And Sean is going to help us with this. So you don't have to carry the whole sort of sense of this, but I need you to be with me on this. All right, your part is that you need to carry the rhythm of our lead character in this story, whose name is Bonginkosi, or Bongi for short. Now, Bongi carries this rhythm in his brain, and it goes taki taki tak 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 tak. All right, can you guys do that too? Either on your laps or somehow on your head. I don't know. Let's try it. Ready? All right. That is. I expected we'd be here 5 minutes trying to get that down. So, all right. Many, many years ago, in a land now known as South Africa, there lived a young boy who was always hearing rhythms of the world around him. He could hear the rhythm of the birds and the insects chirping their calls. He would hear the rhythm of the workers cutting the grains in the field. He could especially hear the rhythm of the river as it flowed through his village, and he knew how that rhythm changed with the seasons. Now, this story moves with the rhythm of that young boy, the rhythm he hears in his head, and I do need your help, so be ready. The rhythm, as you learned it just now, goes taki, taki, tak, 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 tak. And this is the rhythm that Bongi Kosi, or Bongi for short, carried with him throughout the day. He wanted nothing more, Bongi did, than to have a drum. And since he was a good and happy boy who helped around the hut and worked in the fields, his mother wanted nothing more than to be able to give him a drum. But though she worked hard and long each and every day, she could barely trade for enough food for them to get by. One day, as his mother walked home after many long hours selling her grain at the market, she felt especially sad that she couldn't give her son, Bongi, the drum that he truly wanted. She had given the name Bongi Kosi to him because it meant thanksgiving. She was very grateful that he was such a good boy. As she walked along, she saw on the ground next to the path a stick. And she said, that is just the right kind of stick for Bongi to beat out a drum. I can't give him a drum, but I will give him this stick. And so she picked it up and she gave it to her son, saying, this is for you. It's just right in making rhythm. I wish it was a drum, but it's the best I can give you. And Bongi was very, very happy with the stick. Thank you, Mama, he said. And he immediately began to tap the stick on a pot in the yard. Awesome. You guys are great. Now, realizing that her beautiful, beautiful son would be playing the stick on just about everything in the house and the yard, his mother told him to go out into the world and share his rhythm, but be back in time for the evening meal. And so he went off, tapping a fence here and a tree there and a rock down there, and he walked down the road dancing to the beat of his rhythm. Now, before long, Bongi came upon a neighbor, Mama Luti, who sat outside by her cooking fire with tears streaming down her face. Whatever's the matter? Asked Bongi. It's my fire, the woman said. My wood is too wet, and I can't light the fire to cook our bread. Well, Bongi looked at his stick. It was dry. He said, here, you can have mine. And he gave the stick to the woman, who used it to start her fire, which flared up immediately. And the boy started to leave, but Mama Luti said, wait, I shall cook some bread for you. And before long, Mama Luti had grilled some injera bread, thanked Bongi again, and gave him a loaf to eat. Thank you, said the boy, but he wasn't hungry. So he said goodbye and started down the path again, feeling good and waving that flat injera bread a little as he walked to the rhythm of the drum beat continuing in his head. And Bongi next came to the potter's house, where he heard a baby wailing and saw Mama Tiadi, the potter's wife, trying to soothe her child. Whatever's the matter? Asked Bongi. We haven't sold a single pot this week, answered the baby's mother. So we haven't been able to buy food, and we're all hungry. Well, Bongi looked at the injera bread in his hand, and he wasn't hungry, and he knew his mother would be soon preparing an evening meal, and he said, here, you can have mine. And Mama Tiandi said thank you and gave her baby a small piece of bread, and right away the baby stopped crying. Mama Tiandi was so grateful that she looked around and reached for a pot. Here, have this pot, she said. No one seems to want to buy large pots these days. Then Bongi thanked Mama Tiadi and hoisted the pot on his head to carry it and set off once again. Now he could tap the drum beat on the side of the drum as he danced his little walk down the road. Now, as he approached the river, he saw two washerwomen standing up to their knees in the water and quarreling. The women were angry at each other, he could tell, and he walked over and he said, whatever is the matter? And the women, talking over each other, said, we broke our pot, we don't know what to do. Without it, we can't wash the clothes. And Bongi looked up at the pot on the top of his head, and he said, here, you can have mine. And the two washerwomen were so grateful, and now one of them gave him a coat that hadn't had much use. But since the sun was still shining and Bongi wasn't cold, he slung the coat over his shoulder and headed along the riverbank, feeling right with the world and with a drum beat still playing out in his head. As Bongi approached the bridge, crossing the river, he noticed an old man shivering on a boulder in the sun. The man had very few clothes on. "Whatever's the matter?" asked Bongi. And the man explained that he had been robbed, and the robbers had taken almost everything, including some of his clothes. "Here, you can have mine," said Bongi. The man was thrilled, and he pointed at his donkey that was grazing nearby. "I can't ride or care for my donkey anymore. Please take it as a token of my gratitude." Well, the boy was pleased indeed. "Thank you," but as he didn't know how to ride a donkey, he led it along the way. And the donkey, sensing Bongi's joy, marched to the rhythm as she clip-clopped along. Now, it's getting late. Late in the story. So Bongi decided to take a shortcut through the forest. And in a clearing, he came upon a bride all dressed in wedding garb and a group of musicians. They were sitting underneath some trees and looking glum. "Whatever is the matter?" asked Bongi. And the musician said, "It's a tradition for the bride to ride to the wedding on a donkey. But the auspicious hour for the wedding is soon here, but the animal has yet to arrive." And the boy led the donkey over to the bride and said, "Here, you can have mine." Now, the bride first was surprised and then overjoyed. "Oh, how wonderful," she said, "but what can we give you in return?" Bongi could see that the musicians had more than one drum. And he asked shyly, "Might I have one of your drums?" "Of course," they replied, gathering themselves up to go to the wedding. And Bongi stared in amazement at the drum now slung over his shoulder, and he headed home with a big smile on his face, beating the drum as he went. The closer he got to home, the faster he moved. "Mama," he called out, "look, the stick you gave me has turned into a drum." And his mother looked from the drum to Bongi's smiling face and asked, "How ever did this happen?" And when Bongi told her about his adventures, she could only sit and wonder. "Whatever made you give all those things away?" she asked. And Bongi Kosi simply replied, "Ubuntu. How could I be happy if they were sad?" The spirit of Ubuntu is the spirit of an interconnected life. A person is a person through other people. I am because we are, where we means everyone. Let's join together in singing our centering hymn, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla a volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente
person is a person through other people. I am because we are. We join in this community, I think, with that understanding that we need one another to be. This is our time in the week where we have an opportunity to share with one another those deep and personal joys or sorrows that we carry with us. And I know we all carry them. But if you're feeling bold today and would like to share with the community, I hope you'll raise your hand, tell us your name, and briefly what's in your heart. Joys and sorrows. Not necessarily a first, but it only means I'll have to speak longer later on. Oh, there's a sorrow. Oh, see? Try.
Daryl Manning?
Right up to your
Is it
mouth.
on? No.
Red.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, Daryl Manning. There are so many things, both joyful and sorrowful, going on in the world. But my joy is that I had my daughter and her family with us all week, a little bit longer than I expected because there was a nor'easter happening up north. But anyway, it gave us a lot of time together with the kids, the grandkids, swimming constantly. It was also my birthday, and so to me, that was just a perfect week.
Let's celebrate perfect weeks and birthdays. Oh, where? I'm getting dizzy. Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Tabitha Stadler, and I shared a few months ago that I was engaged in a project that I've now completed, and I wanted to share with you that I was part of the very first Caribbean Climate Justice Camp in Dutch St. Martin about last week, and we had 120 youth activists in their 20s and early 30s representing every Caribbean country coming together around activism and climate justice. It was like amazingly fantastic. I couldn't even tell you the energy, the kindness, the acceptance in the room, and just, that hope, for the future. So I wanted to share with you that I was part of that, and what an uplifting event. Really amazing.
Thank you. All right. One more, Kathy. I'll get over there in a minute, okay? Checking my steps.
Hi, good morning. Kathy Schneider. I just wanted to share the joy that I was able to spend 3 days with my son, who lives in Japan. We were in Chicago. The weather was horrible, but we had a wonderful, warm, loving visit.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy.
So Gail and I want to celebrate the fact that after many years in Florida, at this time of year, we have come to this place every Sunday for the second consecutive year. I think I missed one Sunday, but and that has been a blessing.
Thanks, John. Thank you for all that's been shared. And again, recognizing that there is so much joy and sorrow that sits in this room, so much uncertainty, anxiety, hope. And we know that we're a blessing to one another as we hold each other in that love. Let's join together in the spirit of meditation. Spirit of life and love, God of our deepest understanding, we gather to celebrate the spirit of life that sustains us, the wind moving through the trees and stirring the waters, the very air we breathe which fires our bodies to life. We celebrate the power of gravity which roots us to the earth, the warmth of day and the cool of night which comforts us, the smell of a flower, the joy of birdsong. We revel in the mystery and wonder of this life we've been given and our oneness with the diversity we see all around us. For all this and more, we are grateful. And most of all, we give thanks for the invisible power of human relationships, the love we share, the caring we do, the efforts we make for others and they for us, gifts given and received, the thrill of new experience and the joy of remembrance, the delight of passion and compassion, of friendship and community, the exquisite hurt of suffering and sorrow, reminding us of our common humanity, the joy of gathering in this place with these people, for the gift of love and the spirit of life that holds and sustains us. May we always lift our voices in praise.
The Web of Life by Robert T. Weston. There is a living web that runs through us to all the universe, linking us each with each and through all life onto the distant stars. Each knows a little corner of the world and lives as if this were his all. We no more see the farther reaches of the threads than we see of the future, but they're there. Touch but one thread, no matter which, the thoughtful eye may trace to distant lands its firm, continuing strand, yet lose its filaments as they reach out. but find at last it coming back to him from whom it led. We move as in a fog, aware of self, but only dimly conscious of the rest, if they are close to us, in sight or in feeling. New objects loom up for a time, fade in and out. And then sometimes, as we look on unawares, the fog lifts. And there's the web in shimmering beauty, reaching past all horizons. We catch our breath, stretch out our eager hands, and then in comes the fog again. And we go on, feeling a little foolish, doubting what we had seen. But the hands were right. The web is real. Our folly is that we so soon forget.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings in the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly design. Oh, passing years just might know the faith that winters in the heart to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life that enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
Over the past 6 months, through our monthly service themes, we've been considering the language that's been brought forward to better articulate who we are as Unitarian Universalists, what values we hold as important, and how we call one another to live those values. We have explored generosity, pluralism, justice, equity, transformation as interrelated values, and this month, but And last, but certainly not least, our theme is interdependence. And all of these values are grounded in the foundational value of love. Within the 7 principles that our Unitarian Universalist Association adopted in 1985, the 7th principle is one that many of us can remember. We affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. As with all the values that have been lifted up as critical to our UU identity, the new language around interdependence has a more insistent quality, urging us to greater intentionality in living these values out in our daily lives. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. With humility and reverence, we covenant to protect earth and all beings from exploitation, creating and nurturing sustainable relationships of repair, mutuality, and justice. This new language is part of a proposed Article 2 that will be voted on in June at our National General Assembly. The language is in this document. There's a number of copies out on the foyer, in the foyer, if you're interested in reading more. Or you can go online at uua.org. Now, I would hazard a guess that each of us accepts the idea of interdependence as a truism. We've read or heard about the interdependence as it's represented in pretty much all branches of science and social science. But for most of our lives, especially in this culture, we quite often act as if we were all independent agents. The individualism that our society has held up for so long runs counter not only to the ideal of beloved community, but to the reality of what it means truly to be human. As the idea of Ubuntu conveys, we are people because of other people. We may be born into this world as individual entities, but we are interdependent social creatures. And this idea was brought home to me personally during my seminary experience by liberation theology professor Ben Valentin. And I happened to have my recorder on as he spoke these words. We are constituted as human only in relation to others, to community, to society, to the world around us. We need others, not just to survive and grow, but to become human in the first place. We need others to have consciousness, to have intelligence, even to experience freedom. We develop as persons only by interacting with others. We need each other to know love. And the reality is we can be fulfilled as human only in loving relations to others. Not others just like us necessarily, but also those who are different and who have different perspectives from us. It is therefore imperative that we move from the far too prevalent perspective of I to the perspective of we, and that we help our children and grandchildren find that perspective as well. We need to lean into the idea of wholeness. And not just the idea, but the bodily experience of wholeness. I have shared in the past my experiences of transcendence. Times in nature or in community when struck by some sight or sound or something I wasn't even aware of, and then suddenly being transported, boundaries dissolving, cares disappearing, time irrelevant. Moments when there wasn't an I, only an experience of joyous oneness, visceral, and very real. Those experiences, and they continue to this day, are a significant part of who I am and provide great meaning and purpose. Everything in my life revolves around that felt sense of connection, of a felt interdependence. Those experiences form my moral grounding. They are my North Star. As an introvert, I can say without those experiences, I would not be standing here in front of you. And two, there are briefer moments of connections experienced throughout my days and weeks that lift and sustain me in my life. Moments when I witness an act of love or generosity, or times when I'm allowed to see more deeply into someone's pain or loneliness, or even when a piece of music like today moves me out of the commonplace. I suspect that many, if not all of you, have had moments like these. Moments when you might say something like, "Oh, that is so wonderful, it gives me goosebumps." As simple as that. And those are the moments that I'm talking about. Moments of felt connection. In his book, Religion, Values, and Peak Experiences, psychologist Abraham Maslow wrote, "One of the great lessons from the true mystics is that the sacred is in the ordinary, that it's to be found in one's daily life, in one's neighbors, friends, family, in one's backyard." At first believing that religious experience was more rare than common, Maslow was ultimately amazed that the majority of people he interviewed could describe what he called a peak experience. And the implication was clear. One doesn't have to be a great teacher or mystic or even a long-time practitioner to undergo an unforgettable epiphany during daily living. 60 years before Abraham Maslow, American philosopher and psychologist William James, in his lectures on mysticism, given as a part of a seminal study on the varieties of religious experience, talked about 4 qualities of the mystical or transcendent experience that are common even as the circumstances and the descriptions of individual episodes vary greatly. The first thing was that such experiences are transient in nature, most lasting no more than a few minutes and only in rare cases lasting more than an hour or two. And yet, while the intensity of these experiences is short-lived, their richness and importance tends to be sustained within the inner life of the individual, especially when reinforced by additional experiences. The second quality is that they're passive in nature. While there are some practices that can facilitate a transcendent moment, James remarked that for the most part they come unannounced in moments that we wouldn't expect them and fade just as capriciously. The remaining 2 qualities were more interesting to the psychologist James. The third was that the third quality he gave it was that quality of ineffability, that words could not come close to capturing the richness and intensity of the felt experience. He thought that trying to explain the transcendent experience was something akin to trying to explain love to someone who has never felt love. Finally, the fourth thing was that such an experience often comes with a depth of understanding or insight into a truth, often, though not always, expressed as the unity of all things. A truth not accessible by the rational intellect, but which, nonetheless, carries a powerful and continuing sense of authority in the mind of the subject. And nowhere in these 4 qualities is there anything that suggests explicitly that these experiences involve anything supernatural. Only that they are unique experiences in the ever-expanding understanding of human cognition. They are part of who we are. And yet, our tradition teaches us to be skeptical. We tend to hold back from attributing too much that seems non-rational. From the very beginning, our Unitarian forebears have urged the careful use of reason in reflecting on any experience or any text relating to faith or belief. We are cautious when it comes to feelings and felt experiences. And two, for many Unitarian Universalists, one of the most important and defining characteristics of our movement has been the demystification of religion, moving superstition or anything that rings of it out of the equation. However, our roots also run deep in the earthy, mystical, non-rational inclinations of the transcendentalists like Henry David Thoreau, Waldo Emerson, or Margaret Fuller, and many since. Their tangible legacy can be found in our purposes and principles to this day. The interdependent web. It is there, stated that in the living tradition we share draws from many sources. And the first of those sources that have been identified is the direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Margaret Fuller, certainly one of the brightest of the Concord literary firmament, clearly appreciated the fact that we humans are much more than our intellect. In her first book, Summer on the Lakes, published in 1843, Fuller used a wonderful little dialogue between four muses to argue that transcendence is not about moving beyond physical reality, but attentiveness to the reality of life. All around us, she wrote, lies what we neither understand nor use. Our capacities, our instincts for this present sphere are but half developed. Let us confine ourselves to that till the lesson be learned. Let us be completely natural before we trouble ourselves with the supernatural. Like Fuller, I have never had any sense that transcendent experiences point towards anything other than our own human capacity to move beyond the internal boundaries we create and to experience more fully and intuitively the whole, our natural connection and interdependence with other human beings, with other creatures, with the earth and all its beauty. The problem is that over time we create more and more internal boundaries, and these boundaries become very difficult to transcend. We build those boundaries up for our own protection, continually fortifying them with our fears, with our pride, with our greed, with our self-righteousness. When we do this, we are ignoring the other great lesson of all mystical traditions, that the individual self is an illusion of sorts. That until we see and feel ourselves as part of the whole of creation, we won't truly know ourselves. We'll continue to fight the internal battles and struggle to let go of ourselves, never fully able to move across divides and connect more fully and continuously with the we instead of the I. Our great work, my friends, as we move forward in this life together, is to reckon finally with the perils and the blessings of what it means to be human, to understand fully and feel completely our place in the interdependent web, to hear and act upon the words the poet Gwendolyn Brooks once wrote, "We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond."
This congregation has so much to offer. Wonderful programming, engaging worship, excellent musical offerings, a fabulous staff, this great facility, the incredible garden, not to mention a community of people with whom to share our lives and journeys. And that would be you. Grateful for the gifts of those who came before, honoring the time and talent of so many of us who make things happen every single day. Hopeful for a future that reflects our dreams, this morning's offering for the ongoing work and mission of the congregation will be very happily received. If you're watching at home, please consider sending a donation. The information that you need in order to donate is right on the screen.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are one. 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 We are one.
We have a few quick reminders of what's coming up this week. We have an important forum today after the service with Dr. Peter Bergeron, who will be discussing the history of the Electoral College and also the present-day political landscape moving towards the November election. Number 2, if you have an opportunity today or over the next month, please take a walk down the hallway and into Menaker Gallery to see the wonderful new exhibits of paintings by our own Missy Cowan. Yes. Later on this afternoon, the Interfaith Alliance, along with PFLAG, GLSEN, I don't know how to say that, thank you, GLSEN, and Naples Pride will present an Interfaith Pride Convocation. This service will celebrate our LGBTQ community at a time when forces are once again working to infringe on individual rights. Reverend Tony will be participating in this event, which will take place at 4 o'clock this afternoon at the Naples United Church of Christ on Creighton Road. And number 3, our Wonderful Wednesday. This week features Dick Mackin, who will share his recent exploration of Greek history and culture, which he learned as he traveled through Athens and the Greek islands. There.
How's that? All right. Also, two important things. First of all, thank you all. Last week you responded to a matching gift of $1,500 to support our Weekend Meals for Kids program. That's a wonderful thing. The great news is that this week we have a $10,000 matching gift. So if you have not given to Weekend Meals, or even if you have and would like that contribution matched, please consider doing that. The information you need will be in the email blasts, have been and will be all week. So please follow through with that. This is the time to support our Weekend Meals program. And last but not least, the Forum Committee is grateful for your participation over the last year. It's been a really successful year with Forum, and this afternoon will be no exception. However, we would invite you, all of you who are interested in and appreciative of the Forum, to join us for a special forum after the service next week to talk about the Forum and its future. This will be an important meeting to get your understandings and input about the Forum itself, and hopefully to generate some additional energy around moving that forward, as the committee needs your help to do that. So, thank you for your patience with our multiple announcements, and now let's rise and sing as you are able. Our closing hymn, For the Earth Forever Turning, it's 163 in the gray hymnal. This was written as part of Paul Winter's Missa Gaia by Ken Oler.
Turning for the skies, for every sea, for our lives and all we cherish, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the mountains, hills, and pastures in the silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing we our joyful song, peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons round and clean, for the skies, all creation, sing we our joyful praise. For our sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our blue-green hills of earth.
Throughout our days, there come to us glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight, breathtaking experiences of interdependence and clarity and wonder. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and be renewed by their grace, and, spurred by the depths of meaning they provide, move boldly into the unknown. Go in peace. Go in love. Have a wonderful day.